Hi, I'm Ryan Jenkins with Jenkins Farms in Jay, Florida. Today we're on our farm here in Jay. It is a fourth generation family farm. We raise peanuts and cotton mostly, but we do have some secondary crops that are soybeans, corn, wheat, and oats. We're in the extreme northwestern Florida panhandle. We're a 100% dry land farm. We have no irrigation. We typically get enough irrigation from the afternoon thunderstorms during the summer that come in off the Gulf. Very fertile land here where we are. So I have a crazy background. I'm one of those jacks of all trades, master of none type guy. I've always farmed, but I've done several different other jobs along the way, as I say, to help support my farming habit. Anywhere from I was a crop duster pilot for a little while. Another extreme passion I have is taking care of people. I've been a 911 dispatcher. I have been an EMT, a paramedic on the ground ambulance, a flight paramedic for 10 years on our local helicopter-based service. So I've done a lot over the years, but one thing that's been constant has been agriculture. I've always farmed. I've always loved farming. That's what I've always wanted to do. These other things just kind of came along as I was progressing through life. So I have many loves and many passions, but definitely agriculture is the one I go home to every day, the one that I've always wanted to do, and the one that I've worked so hard to make happen. Farming has so many things working against it right now that are out of our control, but a lot of the safety aspects of it are within our control, and that's one thing that we can do to improve upon our operations. Today we're having our second annual Farm Safety Day. My goal is to connect the dots with the first responders. Now with all the changes that are going on and so many different people moving in and things like that, so many people are disconnected from agriculture, including our first responders. So my goal in doing this is to bring them out in a non-emergent situation, get them on the farm, number one, and expose them to some agriculture, but also show them the size of the equipment that we typically use in our area and get them familiar with it in a non-emergent type situation, a non-stressful situation where they can feel comfortable asking questions and actually putting their hands on the equipment and just seeing the size of it and some of the special considerations that would need to be made to have a successful rescue. So it's geared toward mostly first responders. We'll also have some farmers here today as well, but we have emergency management here. We have EMTs, paramedics, firefighters, flight nurses, ER nurses, forestry people, sheriff's department people, anybody that might be first on scene or involved in the first part of care of a patient that's been involved in an agricultural type accident. I know personally one that lived and one that died. Putting a bale of hay on here, raising it all the way up like we're talking about. They go down through the field and hit a bump or hit a terrace, it falls back on them and kills them. So those are the type of injuries you're going to see from something that has a front end loader attached to it. This is a PTO shaft. We talked about it a while ago, power takeoff. That's how we get power out of the engine that's on the tractor and turn something like this. Extremely strong, so if that tractor has 250 horsepower, that PTO shaft has 250 horsepower. Typically those shafts on these size tractors turn at 1,000 RPMs. So what will happen is somebody will get out, they need to hear something, they need to work on something while it's running, whatever the case may be. This thing's turning, they have loose fitting clothing on, and they get up, you don't even have to touch it, right? If your clothes gets up against that thing a little bit, you're pulled into it and you're done. And I'm telling you, it happens probably monthly in the United States. It's starting from being stopped, so when he slings around in a second, it's probably not going to be turning 100 RPMs, and it usually turns 1,000. So you can imagine getting in that thing, it's like that. So if y'all want to film it, if the tractor will crank, Chase will try it out for us, but I'm going to get back. Y'all ready? All right, here we go. So, pretty dramatic, huh? For no more than what that was? Come on. I had a friend of mine involved in a vehicle collision on the road that really hurt them, and we learned from that, and now we never move our equipment up and down the road without, I'll call 100 times to make sure everybody's got their seatbelt on before we move up and down the road, even in tractors. So, you know, just little things like that you pick up along the way, and you see how much it's impacted someone else, and you don't want it to impact you. I mean, again, that's getting back to one of those things that we can change. We can control if we put our seatbelt on. That's simple. We can control if we put blocks up under a bush hog or a peanut digger or a peanut picker if we're laying up under it working on it so that it can't fall. Things we can change, we need to change, we need to do them. I tell people all the time that I work very hard, but I've never worked a day in my life, and I truly mean that. When you absolutely love what you do, it doesn't feel like work. It can be a bad day. Today things not go right, you have breakdowns, you have bad weather, you get bad news, whatever the case may be. But then, you know, when I'm laying in bed tonight, I'll be thinking about tomorrow, and I get excited, and I just can't wait to get up and do it all over again. So I really am thankful that God called me to be a farmer and that I get to do what I love.